Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome to Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly Live. And I have another great show scheduled with two awesome guests. And if anybody's seen the Facebook promos, you know who they are. Um, and I'm excited about both of them being on the show. Um, it's one of those things where a lot of you know that I'm a retired police officer myself, and anytime I can get another police officer to come on the show and tell us about their drone units. That's always great. And we're going to hear about a great success story. That's for sure. But the other thing, I want to tell everybody about, just to let we already picked a date for our next year's South Florida Drone Meetup. And the third annual South Florida Drone Meetup will be held again in Jensen Beach, Florida, and it's going to be on April 1st, 2023 at the Jensen Beach Causeway Park. And it's free, just like it was the past 2 years. And hopefully, we got a lot of interest already. I got 20 people signed up, on the list, and people are already booking their hotel rooms. The official hotel will be the Hampton Inn and Suites in North Stewart. Um, there were great accommodations last year, and everybody said the hotel was great. And live streams were even done at the hotel, from in the lobby area, the business center. We even had Dennis Lovelady out there in the parking lot doing his sunrise live streams in the parking lot, and it was great to see that. When I stopped at the hotel on the second day of flying on Sunday, Dennis and Rodney were out there, and they were fly. He was flying. He was playing his ukulele, and he was singing. and and I always get a kick out of seeing Dennis playing his ukulele and singing. But you know, it's just a great event. So please try and join us. Mark it on your calendar. Plan ahead. You got plenty of notice, but we got a great crowd in the chat already, and thank you all for tuning in tonight. I know 6 o'clock is almost a bad time. It's dinner time, but hey, Ken Nida, how you doing? I had the pleasure of flying with Ken this past week, and we had a great time. It was a little too windy to fly over by the intercoastal waterway at that secret spot that everybody knows about, but we went inland about a mile, and we got a nice flight in. And Leonard, JSK, how you doing? All the way from Newark. Good to see you. Billy Harwood, Strong Guy, Rhode Island. How you doing? Paul, always good to see you. And Maddie, how you doing? But anyway, I don't want to leave the people in the back room too long. We put out the shrimp and lobster back there for them, and they're fighting over it. I can see that already. I'm watching them in the back room, and the first person I want to bring in, and that's going to be Sergeant Matt Reynolds, and Matt's coming to us all the way from Port St Lucie, Florida. And Sergeant Reynolds is the sergeant in charge of the drone unit on that police department. Welcome, Sergeant Reynolds.
Good evening, Captain Kelly. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so glad that you accepted my invite to come on the show because, I love to try to promote drones and law enforcement as much as I can. And as you know, they serve a great purpose on police departments, correct?
Oh yeah. Anytime I can talk about them, I'm always out talking about them. We've done stuff at our high schools. We've done demonstrations for them and explanations of what we do, and we always field a lot of questions from them and also other media requests as well. So it's always a good time to talk about stuff I like to do as a hobby and for work.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really great that you're on, and I know we'll talk about your success story shortly. I know you might even have a few success stories to share with us, but just tell us your background and how you became involved with drones, because I understand that you're a hobbyist also, along with using drones for work. So just give us a little background on how you became involved with drones.
So how I became involved with drones around 2013, I think, is when I kind of started into the FPV world. That was when the drone racing stuff started to creep on YouTube and see all those videos, and I thought that was just the coolest thing. So I did some research, convinced my wife that this was a hobby that I wanted to go into, and instead of boating or anything like that, anything expensive. Little did I know that this was going to be an expensive hobby. And so I bought my first, I think it was a ZMR 250, one of the old H quad frames. And that's where I dove right in. Still have the Fat Sharks, all that other stuff. Um, and started around here in South Florida locally, met up with a bunch of guys, and just kind of progressed from there, building my own quads. Recreational at that time, around 2014. And then we slowly built up the community here, which is the good part. The community sometimes, we'll have some inclement weather, and we'll still go down to the field and just hang out and chat. So that's been a good thing for me, is developing friends. Then I slowly got into the fixed wing stuff and flying FPV with those, and whether it's the flight tests, foamy airplanes, or the spec wings that you can build to race. So I have a bunch of those too. And then as government slowly got into that for law enforcement, um, I the people powers that be in my agency knew that I was into that stuff and tasked me to come on and start creating policies. And uh, in 2019, we got our first team. It was just two pilots at that time, myself and another officer, and we slowly built that up and had successes right away in finding missing persons, catching bad guys, doing some aerial mapping for some of the parks, and then right now we have a 6-person team and we have a fleet of 12 drones. So we're actually now. Last year we were tasked. We were absorbed by our SWAT team, which ended up being a good thing because we got the budget, and we also now do robotics. So not just drones, we're also doing the tracked robotics and indoor robotics. So that's another exciting realm that we've dove into.
Wow, it's pretty interesting. Your background. And needless to say, you have a lot of experience. And I think, like I said, I think it's great that you fly drones and on your police department. It's one of those things where they really add an extra value, set of eyes. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where, when I was on the police department, we didn't have drones. Or they didn't have drones. You had to go up in a helicopter to get
Yeah.
any type of aerial. Uh, um, and it's one of those things where I would have put in for the drone unit. That's for sure.
Well, it's turned out to be, like you said, it's been a valuable tool for us. It's been a big force multiplier, especially with the advent of the FLIR capable drones. Um, Starting out, we had a couple generations behind. They weren't so good, but it was the best that we had. Now our fleet right now is pretty good. The FLIR sensors we have are excellent, and
Yeah, maybe you could talk a little bit about the flare technology that's involved with the drones, because some
how
people in the chat are not that familiar with it.
how it's evolved, or how it's
Well,
impacted
how
us.
does it work, and how does it help the police department? Any
So
officers
currently
in the field?
we have a DJI fleet. So we fly the Mini 2 for indoors, and then we have the DJI Enterprise Advance. That's a couple-year old drone right now. Um, Part of the Enterprise package, it does come with spotlights. It does come with a speaker, so we can communicate. It doesn't have a microphone on it, so we'd have to give visual commands if we find somebody lost out in the woods. We'd ask them to wave if they can hear us, and then if they can hear it, then we'll ask them if they're capable to walk or if they can follow the drone back. Otherwise, we'll tell them to stay put, and we'll send officers in. Um, and then so we'll take that package. The FLIR is thermal, being able to see at night. That's been a big game changer for us. Maybe in a couple streams, if I come back, I'll get some permission to share some video with you guys that we can see actual stuff.
That would
But
be
I'll
cool.
I'll work on that. But so initially, when we started out, the first kind of game changing buy in from my command staff was we had an incident that involved there were 6 juveniles that had beaten up a homeless male, and they took off running. 3 were caught immediately, and 3 others went off into the woods. They had canine out looking for them. Again, a good tool, but there were some high winds that impacted how they were able to find them. I was called out. I came out, flew the FLIR drone, started grading out the search from where they told me they were last seen. And within 5 minutes, I was able to find a group of 3 of them huddling down in the palmettos, which is thick brush here.
Yeah,
And they saw the drone, and one of them took off running. I was able to follow them and direct the canine in. So we were able to find that guy. They captured him, started gridding out again to find the other 2, found the other 2, directed officers in, and we were able to get all 3 suspects that were still outstanding. So
that's
that's one
great.
aspect of what we do. A lot of what we end up doing down here, it is South Florida, land of retirement. So we have a lot of Alzheimer's patients,
Right.
um, elderly that walk away. They like to walk at evening hours, and they just go out and they either get lost or get turned around. So we've had a couple instances where we found them, and same thing with little kids under 5 or 6 years old. They may walk away, and we've used that as a resource to find them. And for us, why it's a game changer is, some, at least in the States, people, you see the videos of the helicopters flying around. Well, our agency doesn't have a helicopter. We don't have an aviation unit. So that's $5 or $6 million to budget for if you want a manned aviation unit. So for
Right.
us, we have our sheriff's office, which is the county law enforcement here. But if you're familiar with South Florida, there Fort Pierce is where the helicopter's manned here. That's a half an hour away.
Yeah.
So for us, because we roll out our drone unit, we have a trunk locker. It's in my car. It's not back at the station. I have it handy with me. We have charging set up in my vehicle, so I can be Johnny on the spot. If I get called out, I'm right there within a couple minutes. I can throw the drone up. I have my visual observer, which all of our agencies trained as visual observers.
Yeah.
I can throw it up in the air, and then even if we need the helicopter, if they've broken, the as far as I can fly my little radius for visual line of sight, either I can move, or if we've called the helicopter down, by the time they pull it out of the hangar, they get it, do a quick pre-flight, and then wait for their tactical FLIR operator, and then fly down, I could be on my second or third battery. So even if
Exactly.
we've yielded to them, and then we've also flown with our helicopters, and we've just divvied up the airspace altitude wise. So we have a good working relationship with our neighboring agencies.
No, that's great. It is, and it has such a quick deployment. Drones. You
Yeah.
know, there's no doubt about it. And I found out about your drone unit just last week on the news. I saw your assistant chief talking about the arrest that was made, and then I contacted Sergeant Delacroix, and he in turn, introduced me to you. So maybe you could talk about that little successful operation.
So that was good for our. It wasn't me. It was one of my other pilots. Giuliano. He just came on to our unit. We just trained him up after a 4-month program. That was his first night on call, and it was his first call out to go find a subject that he was a wanted felon. There were some instances that happened earlier in the evening. He ended up getting spotted or crashing his motorcycle that he was on and fled on foot. And so, again, one of our pilots who happened to be working had the drone in his car. The sergeant called him out, asked if he could fly. Absolutely, we're throwing it up. And the canine was on the ground at the time too, but because the FLIR capabilities, it's like cheating at night. You can't hide with our quasi urban and wooded areas around where he was found. So that's why I say it's cheating. You can't hide. He was able to spot where the guy was hiding in the woods, directed the canine over there. He ultimately ended up giving up instead of taking the bite, which is a positive outcome. But again, that guy could have, if it wasn't for that, maybe the canine would have found him at a little bit of time later. But again, it's just a tool that has worked wonders here at our agency.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I can listen to these stories all day. But listen, Sarge, you don't mind if I call you Sarge, right? And
That's fine.
we have another gentleman in the back room, and we'll get back to you. We'll have a joint conversation after we bring Alan in. And Alan's coming to us all the way from Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, if I remember
All
right.
right.
Alan, welcome.
Hi, how are you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Not too bad
You
at
know,
all.
thank you for being on tonight. I know it's late for you over
No
there.
problem.
But I've been a fan of yours for quite a while now. I've been watching your videos, and we've been corresponding through comments on your videos, and you comment on mine, and through the
Yeah,
various live streams.
yeah.
You are a phenomenal drone pilot and aerial photographer. I have to say that. I really do.
Thanks. I
And
don't
I know
regard myself as
you're
brilliant,
very
to be honest.
you're very modest, and you're humble, and that's another reason I like you.
Because
Um,
I'm
but
Irish.
yeah, well, no, there's nothing wrong with being Irish, and it's such a beautiful country to fly in. I'm very jealous, envious of you flying over there in Ireland. When I was there, I didn't have a drone. I wasn't into drones at the time, but it is a beautiful country. But maybe you could tell the viewers in the chat and Sergeant Reynolds, because he doesn't know your story. But how did you become involved with drones?
Uh, it was kind of accidentally. I mean, like I said before, I mentioned it on other shows, but I was into photography, and basically the photography wasn't going very well for me. I was rubbish at it. So I saw a guy fly a drone over my head, and I was like, "Wow, what the heck? Look what he's probably getting something brilliant." And I asked him to see what he was getting, and I saw the image, and I was like, "Jesus, I have to get one of those." So I got one. So when I got the drone, it was like a game changer. I spent the every minute I could practicing.
Well, it's amazing. It shows because you have a lot of experience, and I could tell the way you shoot the landscapes, and the beaches. It's amazing. You have a lot of experience.
Yes.
Um, but what areas do you like flying in the best over there in Ireland? Countrysides, beaches, castles. You have
Uh,
it all over there.
that's a hard one. I mean, I do most of my videos on the coast, and
Right.
because I did most of my videos on the coast because of COVID and stuff like that. But now because COVID is pretty much done with, I'm moving back inland and doing the mountains and stuff like that. I prefer the mountains.
Oh, okay. The
Mm.
mountains. Interesting.
Not not that we have any high ones.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, that's interesting. I mean, the countrysides in Ireland are beautiful. If anybody's been there or seen photographs of them, it's beautiful.
Oh
I
yeah,
did,
it's
I
beautiful.
only did the south east coast of Ireland when I visited the country. I have a lot more to see when I go back, and I'm
Oh yeah.
planning on going back in 2023. So, you know.
There's so much to see here.
Now, what drones do you like flying the best, or what's your favorite drone, Alan?
Uh, well, considering I'm not allowed to fly in most of the other drones in any of the places I want to fly, I mean, it's usually just the Mini 2 that I fly
Right.
on all my videos. I use the Mini 2, and
The
the
Mini.
next one will be the Mini 3.
Okay, you planning on getting a Mini tray?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I won't be able to resist it. I mean, I'm just waiting for the launch. I'm
yeah.
waiting for Marcus to fly over the canyon.
I know, I know. May 10th. They saying it's going to be released on May 10th. That's the word
We'll
I'm
see.
hearing. Yeah.
Hopefully.
So, and I know Sergeant Reynolds probably. If you have any questions for Alan, feel free to, you know, come in, Sergeant Reynolds. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat also if anybody has any questions. And I know JSK Enterprise Leonard, he had a question on what drones you fly, and I had told him the DJI right now, and you're in the process of transitioning, correct?
Yeah, so right now we have an all DJI fleet. So we have the Enterprise Advanced, which is available to anybody. It's nothing special. It's about 6,700 US. And then for our indoor flights, we use the Mini 2, and we use the smart controllers as our control. We do have live stream capabilities so that our commanders can see everything that we see as well. But that's our fleet right now. Again, due to some stuff with our legislature. We're having to kind of change away, or at least for now, it looks like we're going to have to move away from DJI. That could change in the future. But at least for now, we're having to look for other options. There's an approved manufacturers list, which some of those don't look too good, but we just have to wait for all these US-based manufacturers to kind of step up their game and bring on the competition from DJI.
Right, exactly. And Alan, do you know if the police officers in Ireland use drones? I'm sure they do.
They do, yeah. It's mostly the fire service that uses them over here.
Oh, okay. The
Yeah,
fire.
it's very, very useful for that kind of thing. The the FLIR cameras and thermal cameras, all that sort of stuff. That's what they use.
Exactly, exactly. Um, I
Yeah,
know that.
we've done that here for our fire service as well. We've assisted them for some brush fires, and I think once we flew for a structure fire for our residents, just to fly around because we can change the gain settings to look at whether it's looking for people or higher temps for
Right.
fires.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have one guy who comes in the chat sometimes. He does work with the Syosset Fire Department in New York, and he's their drone pilot, and he does training to other different fire departments. But he had shown me the flare camera on his Autel Evo drone, and I was pretty impressed with the way that camera really worked, and it showed the hot spots. Um, of, he actually showed me a working fire that he was called out on the night before, and I was pretty impressed. But he does a lot of work with the fire department with his drone, and it's great to see that, you know.
They're a game
But
changer.
it is. Drones are definitely a game changer, you know, really.
Yeah, I know even for
Let's
us,
see.
like you mentioned, you used to have, you'd have to go up in a helicopter. Again, for us, we don't have a manned aviation unit. So whether I'm just burning electrons and I can recharge up out of my car versus, you know, thousands of dollars an hour for flying, a helicopter around, and the time difference for them to get down to us, is for at least being good stewards of our citizens' money. It makes sense. We have to keep the program alive.
Right,
Makes
right.
sense.
We have a question from Paul here. Is there a reason the police use drones in their line of work, considering that they are a huge flight risk? You know,
A huge flight risk.
It- it- I don't think it's that much of a risk, is it? Do you think so, Sarge?
No, I mean, if you have to pilot them. I mean, if you let them, we don't use any of the automated features. Let me step back. For aerial mapping, we'll use the automated features to aerial map an area, but that's in a set area where we've controlled how many people are going into the area. We're not flying over people. But as far as our operations, uh, I mean, I'm piloting it. I'm not using the automated stuff. We're flying around. I'm obviously, FAA is big on safety here, so as am I and my pilots that work for me. Safety's paramount. If it comes to it, we tell the other supervisors on the road, hey, no, we can't fly. The winds are too high, or the conditions aren't right, or we don't have the visibility. Um,
Right.
so, and it's written in our policy that my officer can tell a lieutenant or sergeant no, and it's fine. So,
Okay. Well,
in
that's
that
good.
respect, as far as safety, we don't want to crash. We want to protect our citizens. We want to protect the community, even for the privacy concerns that may be out there. Our policies address all of that as well. So we want to do
Exactly.
it right. We want to be a good, at least for me, I want to be a good ambassador for the hobby, and for the drone community. So I don't want to mess it up for somebody else. So if there's a risk that we're going to crash, then I'm not going to do it.
Exactly. And Leonard has another question. How many drones and how many officers are in your drone unit? I know you had said it before, but he.
Yeah. So I'm there. I have six total, including me. So myself and five other officers. We have 12 drones in our fleet right now. We have six of the Enterprise Mavic drones, and then six of the minis for indoor flying.
Right, right. That's good. So Alan, you know, I just love the way you fly over there in Ireland, um, and I love your channel, and
Thanks.
while we're talking about channels, don't forget, guys, in the chat, be sure you check each other's channels, support each other. It means a lot to the different uh, YouTubers. When you post a video, you like people to watch them, and you don't have to like them all, but they like you'd hit that like button and enter a comment. It means a lot. It does, and that's what's great
Makes a
about this
difference.
whole drone community. We support each other, and I know that I have a lot to learn still. I've only been flying um, since 2017, and I still have a lot to learn. I don't consider myself an expert by any
We
means,
all do.
and I know that I can call anybody in the chat or anybody that I know, and they'll be more than happy to help me. Um, with any question I have. Do you find it that way also, Alan?
Oh yeah, I mean the community is brilliant. I mean, if there's anything I want to find out, I can find it out of someone here.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
And
I said that before too. I think the community, at least in the hobby side, because you're building stuff, you're soldering them together. Maybe you break a standoff and you get another one from your buddy, or you get you break a prop because you flew into a tree racing drones. I think that community is a big part of what kept me in it. As you get more and more up, it gets more expensive and it hurts the pocketbook a little bit more. But once you get established and you're a good pilot, then you're not breaking stuff. Maybe props here or there. But I'm talking on the hobby world, not in the commercial world. We don't do
no, I
that.
understand. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I think the community is what kind of kept me into it, and
It's
the
amazing.
friendships that you make there, and it's a place to go. At least for me, to get I leave work at work and go home and go fly. So
Yeah,
yeah. No, that's good. And that's one thing that, not that it scares me with FPV, is that I'd be crashing and having to repair it, and I'm not that tech savvy, and it's one of those things where I know a lot of people that are FPV pilots. They say that's part of it. That's all part of it. That's some of the fun of it.
yeah, that's the adrenaline rush. Is you're not it's like sitting on the front of a jet fighter, but you're not burning jet fuel. You don't have to pay for the licensing and the whole thousands of dollars to get jet rated. You just put a battery on there and you just burn some electrons, and then you do it a couple minutes later, and then you're back up.
Exactly. And Alan, do you fly FPV also?
uh, I tried before with the DJI FPV, and oh no,
I
my
wouldn't
stomach,
recommend that one.
my stomach didn't agree with that thing. Jesus Christ, no.
I know a couple
Yeah,
of guys let me use the goggles, and I'm looking, and this is what you do in the chair.
yeah.
Start
At
looking like
least
Ray
that's what I
Charles
did.
playing the piano.
It's weird because like I would never normally get sick with motion. I mean, years ago I used to work in Disneyland Paris, and every morning I get on the roller coasters just to wake myself up. But for some reason, the goggles, I don't know what they do to me, but my stomach just leaves me. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, no, I know. But everybody who says once you get used to it, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love
Yeah.
it.
You got
Is
to
that
get time
true,
on the
Al?
sticks.
Is that true?
Yeah, you got to get time on the sticks and just get used to it. I mean, a lot of people. One of our older guys that flies planes a lot, he'll get back there and like you said, it's like he's just like Ray Charles playing the piano, just moving his head and falling around. It's funny to watch him, but they get better and better. You got to give it like 5 or 6 batteries, and then you can get used to it.
Yeah, just look at Matty from Matty's Drone World. I mean, he started off, and in no time at all, he became a brilliant FPV pilot. His videos are awesome.
I know. Maddie learned it so quickly, and he's great. He really is. And I
Yeah.
asked him last night on the live stream, how many, I think he said he had 7 or 9 FPV drones.
Jesus Christ, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
I
but
I think I may have about that many as well. Yeah,
oh yeah,
Oh
that's how
God,
many you have?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
my
yeah.
God,
I
it's
got
like
all the little ones down to little tiny whoops that you can fly indoors really easily. They're about I know you can't see scale, but maybe 3 or 4 inches across diameter, and then all the way up. I have a 7-inch long distance FPV drone that I use.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
awesome.
Leonard, he wants to know how long you've been on the job, Matt.
So I've been a cop since 2008. I came to this agency in 2016, and then we started flying drones in 2019. I got promoted in just this last November.
Okay. That's great. That's great. You know, it's something because I know you're going through tough times now. Being a police officer in today's world is a lot different than when I was, and that was 20 years ago. You know, and I give you a lot of credit, and I want you to stay safe. You know, and I just wish more people would support the police because they truly need it and they deserve it.
Well, I think you're down. It sounds from my talking with you that you're down kind of in my neck of the woods, and I think you'd agree. Our community here is good. They're very pro law enforcement. They support us, but again, that comes back to how we treat our citizens. You know, you got to do everything right with integrity and do it for the right reasons. Like I said, for our flying, you know, we want to do it the right way, and we want to. If that translates to how we do our police work, then usually we have everybody's backing. So we haven't had any issues here. Obviously, that could change overnight. You know, something happens, but you know, police work's
Yeah,
police work, whether you're in Detroit or here. So, you know, there's always an inherent danger everywhere we go. So
yeah, exactly. You know, and it's funny because I never thought I'd be saying this, but like I said, I'm retired 20 years now. Time flies, even in retirement. It does. It really does.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people in the chat, they know that I post a lot of videos and I'm always out flying or fishing or on my boat. And it's one of those things where I don't know how I had the time to go to work, you know? But do you do any fishing up by you, Matt?
I don't do fishing. My father-in-law is a big fisherman, and my brother is a big fisherman. But I have 4 kids, so I don't have time to fish. I have
Okay.
barely have time to fly on my own time, so I get out
And what,
there.
and what about you, Alan? I know it's a drone show, but let's talk about fishing for a couple of minutes. Do you do any fishing in
Uh,
Ireland?
that would be a no. No,
No?
I spend every waking moment when it's not piss and rain flying. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just flying all the time.
Right, right. I know you do a lot of flying.
Yeah.
And like I said, your videos are incredible. All right, listen, guys. I just want to do the tip of the week now. I have a little tip of the week segment, as most of you know, and what I wrote down for the tip of the week this week is always check your safety tab before each flight. Okay, because sometimes when you turn off the drone for whatever reason, the uh, the distances can change, and sometimes they do change, especially after an update. So check your safety tab, know your return to home distances, your height distances, um, because sometimes they change. You know, it's happened
Yeah.
to me a few times. You know, where I didn't do it in the beginning. Next thing you know, I'm wondering, why I can't go more than 60 feet or whatever.
We've all done
And
it.
yeah, there you go. We've all done it. So just check your safety tab before your flights, you know. Um, but I'm trying to keep up with the comments, and let's see, I'm going through them, but I don't see any questions right now. Yeah, okay, let's see. Here's one. JSK. Curious to know what kind of assignment the sergeant would need to use a drone indoors. Yeah.
So for I said in the beginning, we just got acquired by our SWAT team, Special Weapons and Tactics. So that could be for either barricaded suspects, anytime hostage. It wouldn't be for hostage situations necessarily, but anytime that SWAT would go in, how we're doing it now, it could be for search warrants. We're using them to clear the residence before we send a person in. You know, whether we've called people out before you send a human body in. I'd
Yeah.
rather, if there's a guy in there with a gun, I'd rather him knock my $300 drone out of the air than have him shoot one of my officers. So, and my command staff has the same feeling. So for us, we'd rather spend $300 to replace a drone before we have to, you know, tear the rest of the house apart to try and find out where he's at. Um,
Yeah.
so
No
that's
brainer.
one instance where we could do it. We've had a couple times where we had some shootings in a house, and we didn't know if anybody was in there. So the front door was open, so we can same rationale. send a drone in to see if anybody's alive or if the suspect's still in the house. Again, safety of the officers and anybody else that may be in there before we send somebody down range. Again, cheaper to just throw a drone away if we have to. If somebody knocks it out, or even if a dog were to jump up and bite it, we'd rather just spend $300 to replace that one drone than replace a person and pay for a funeral. So
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So as far as just normal day-to-day patrol operations, we're not flying indoors. We're not flying in people's houses. Again, here, if you're in the States, we're going to need a search warrant to do that anyways. So it's not like we're just willy-nilly flying them in.
And just to let you know, Leonard JSK, he's a retired police officer.
Okay. No, those are good questions.
Yeah, yeah. But Alan, I'm looking forward to coming over there. I'm looking forward to flying with you. Do you have any idea where we're going to fly when I come visit you?
Well, I haven't gone up to Donegal enough. Donegal is amazing. Also, the Wild Atlantic Way up between Galway and Mayo. That area is crazy. I mean, it's so beautiful you wouldn't believe it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it would be a dream.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I like flying by the water. Any place where there's water, I really enjoy flying there. I haven't flown in the mountains. Well, one time. I shouldn't say that. I've been to Boone, North Carolina, and I flew in the mountains there, but not serious flying.
Yeah. Well, we are an island. We're surrounded by the sea. It's not like you have a lack of options.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I really am, and I'm talking about maybe coming in September. Would that be a good time to come to Ireland?
Oh,
no.
September. September. It's a funny one. Sometimes we can have really nice Septembers and a really bad summer. And sometimes we can just have rain every single day. You never know.
Well, I know I went and spent some time there in November, and it was chilly. It was actually cold.
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't get really, really cold in Ireland. I mean, it's like Gary Brant Ariels. I mean, he knows about cold. We don't. We hardly even get snow.
I know. Not that I feel sorry for the people up in Canada because it's beautiful up there, but it is cold. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Take
And
yourself out of your house.
Speaking of Gary, he's having a meetup on the 14th, May 14th. And everybody in the chat, if you come be up in the area, get a hold of Gary and Jim Beauchart, and they're planning their Canadian meetup. And I had told you in the back room already, Matt, that we're going to have the meetup again in Jensen Beach, Florida. And I want to give you a personal invitation. If you're on a day off or any fellow drone pilots, on April 1st, 2023, we'll be flying in the Jensen Beach Causeway Park. So please feel free to join us.
Yeah, we have a big community here. We have a park that's about maybe 45 minutes from the Jensen Beach Causeway. So I'm sure we can get a whole bunch of them to come down there.
Good. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. But you know what happened this year? And I was really, really shocked that the United States Army reached out to me and they asked me if it would be okay if they came and set up a booth. And I was so glad. And they ended up sending personnel from their drone unit in Fort Rucker, Alabama. And they were there also, along with a recruiting table, of course, But they brought a Hellfire drone missile, and they had that out on display.
Wow.
It was pretty impressive. It was. And anybody who was there will agree with me on that,
Yeah, next time we have one of our high schools in our county that has a drone club. We've been asked to speak in front of them, I think, a couple times now, and that's in tandem with their ROTC program. And so next time I'm out there, I'll have to remember to remind them to head out there as well, because that'll give you a bunch of kids to see what we're all doing too.
No, it's good. I have a I guess you could say, a focus on my channel, and that's to try to get kids involved with drones
Yeah.
as an alternative to drugs. I got it right on my shirts. Let's get kids hooked on drones, not drugs, and or any hobby. Any hobby that you can get children involved with.
Yeah.
Is good for them. But
That
I
was
it's
even
great
have.
the
that you're talking to the students at the schools.
Mm,
It is.
yeah.
that was the funniest saying that we'd have up at our club is, get your kids into drones because they won't have the money to buy drugs.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I even have my 4-year-old niece addicted to my drones. She even calls them their names. My crash one behind me there. She called that one Gary.
Yeah.
4 years
Um,
old.
I tell you, it's one of those things where I'm trying to keep up with the chat, and I know I want to apologize if I miss mentioning your name in the chat. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just that the chat goes by sometimes very quickly. How you doing, Bob Casey? Good to see you. And Bill Jason, good to see you. Dewey, how you doing? Aki Rasho, how you doing? David Lorenzo, and it's one of those things where I enjoy flying with other people, and I do it
Yeah.
as much as I can, whether it's one other pilot or two, and it's only a couple of us that call it a mini meetup. And I find that I learn a lot that way, just talking to the other pilots. Do you find that also, Alan? Do you fly with a lot of other people over there in Ireland?
Unfortunately, in this country, I don't know. People have this habit of wanting to fly by themselves. But
Oh,
I mean, I have flown with a few people at times, and I find it more enjoyable. I mean, it's a bit of entertainment, a bit of fun when you're with someone else rather than by yourself the whole time.
yeah. When you're by yourself, you tend to like talk to yourself, or at least
Yeah,
I do.
I've been told that I'd
you
be
know.
wearing a pair of headphones and I'd be talking to my drone. I'd have people staring at me like, "What the hell's wrong with him?"
No, I know, and I don't know about how it is when you guys are flying, recreationally, but I don't mind it when people come up to me and start questioning me about the drone. You know,
Mm.
Inevitably it's how much do they cost, or how far does it fly? Do you guys mind that when people come up to you and talk to you?
Uh, as long as they're not Karens, that's okay. I mean, when you get the people, obviously we all have the people who think you're spying on them, the people who think that you're doing up to no good. I mean, I can only deal with so much of that, but at the end of the day, I try to be nice, try to be calm, and answer their questions and whatever. I like when younger people approach me because I mean, they're the next generation of people to get into the hobby.
Yeah.
Exactly. No,
Plus,
it's
that's the
good.
other benefit, like you were saying about if you fly with other people, is they can kind of play interference if you get a Karen walking over, as you said,
Yeah,
or if somebody just keeps pestering, or if you question after question after question, at least for FPV stuff, you're relying on what you're seeing, so
yeah,
that's another distraction. So it's good to have somebody that can do that.
it can be
Um,
dangerous.
yeah, yeah. If you're doing, the DJI stuff, or essentially where you don't pilot it, I say you position it in the sky and it stays there till you tell it to move again. You could take the time, take your hands off the sticks, and say, hey, well, look at this. This is how that does it. That take the fear that somebody may have about away. So again, I think it's good. There's a time and a place, obviously, for everything, but I think as long as we're all trying to be good ambassadors, then if we leave people with a good feeling when they left away, then I think
Yeah,
that's a success.
and
So.
they come
Yeah.
back to the hobby, and that's the main thing, really. We want more people in the community, more people flying, and make it the norm.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I like this trick that Dewey has. You put a GoPro on a tripod, and it keeps certain people away.
TV doesn't live too far from me.
There you go. Yeah.
you know. But it's one of those things where I don't mind it. I really don't. And I've never had an issue with a Karen myself while I was
You're
flying.
lucky.
But then again, I go to the secret spots a lot.
Yeah, the secret spot that everybody knows about.
See, Matt, there's a thing on my videos that I call every spot a new secret spot, you know. But then I tell everybody where it is and all of that, and that's what I'm referring to here.
Yeah.
Um, but it's one of those things where I don't mind trying to, like you say, get new people involved with the hobby, especially children, you know,
Yeah.
and it's good to see that. Another thing that I do on the show, and I don't know whether to do the giveaway first or do the contest first. Well, we're going to do the giveaway from last month. Um, I have names in the hat of everybody who had the correct color from last month, and I'm going to do the drawing for the Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly hat. So I'm going to do it now. I'm not going to look. I'm just going to pick a name, and we'll see who wins the hat. Um, and it looks like it's going to go to Bob Dempsey. Bob Dempsey. All right. He's not in the chat right now, but we're going to send Bob out a hat. And congratulations to Bob. Now, you guys are eligible for this month's giveaway because you don't know what the lucky color is. So if you want, you put in the lucky color, and the first one to get the lucky color that I have written down, their name will go into the hat for next month's giveaway. And it sometimes I miss it. Oh my God, I don't believe it. I don't believe it though. All right, we won't look at that. All right, I'm not gonna let it continue. Jerry Bauer got the color, I think, first.
Green.
Green. Okay, that was the lucky color. So congratulations, Jerry. Your name will go in the hat for the hat. Um, I'll write it down.
Periwinkle. Somebody's writing periwinkle.
Very sophisticated system I have here. You know, when Johnny does his contest, he has a spinning wheel, and then and the names pop up. And look at that! I'm getting complaints already. Maddie's saying it's rigged. That this was rigged. You don't like this system, Maddie? But anyway, so Ireland, like I said, I'm looking forward to coming to Ireland and flying with you. And I'm not just
Yeah, it'd
saying,
be amazing.
you know, I really I want to get over there. I don't want to bring my drone, but
You
we're in
could do it
trouble
at your
now
secret spots.
because Mark Fish is in the chat. So that's the EM drone one that is. And how you doing, Mark? Good to see you. And I don't know if you guys know, but Mark gave an excellent editing presentation at the South Florida Drone Meetup. A lot of people learned a lot about editing from his
Yeah.
presentation, and I want to say thank you to Mark for doing that. He's one of the best drone pilots that I know. You know,
Yeah.
so now can we talk a little bit about editing your videos, Alan? What do you
Yeah.
use to edit your videos?
Premiere Pro. I've been using it for years and years and years. So I love it. It's after some time, it's easy to use. I mean, even for someone who was coming into it, if you're coming to it new, I think it has a much easier sort of learning curve than the likes of DaVinci. DaVinci is very, very, very hard for most people entering it. But I mean, I think Premiere Pro is brilliant. I use it and I enjoy using it.
And it's not that difficult, really.
No, not for me because I've been using it for so long. But I mean, I could teach someone how to use Premiere Pro in a couple of days.
Now I know Sergeant Reynolds, you're not allowed to edit your videos, right? You
No,
film
our law
and
enforcement videos, they have to be
right.
unedited. If they're released, they can be redacted, but that's by a different group. But I for my FPV videos, I use DaVinci
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for that, just because it's free, you know.
yeah, it's free.
Now,
Yeah,
now
So
Matt,
I've developed a good kind of workflow for that. So
do
yeah.
you have your own channel, YouTube channel?
I do.
Do
I'm
you
not gonna
care to
plug it
share with
here.
everybody?
No, I'm not gonna plug it here because I'm here in an official capacity. But maybe
Okay.
another time.
All right. Okay. Good. But it's one of those things where you know I use iMovie, basic little
Yeah.
editing that I do, and you know it
Get
works
great
for
results.
me. Yeah,
Works for you.
nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. You know, um, I tried Final Cut Pro and I flunked that
Yeah.
class. You know, it's one of those things where I took five 5 hour long classes on it, and I just couldn't get it down. And
Did you not do the YouTube University thing? I mean,
it's I don't know. I mean, obviously it's me, because I know
I
Mark
mean,
Fisher. He
yeah,
uses Final Cut Pro. He loves it,
yeah.
and a
I
lot of
mean,
other guys do too.
most people learn how to use all these things on YouTube. I mean, YouTube teaches you everything. I mean, apparently I'm an expert plumber now because I was able to fix leaks in the house. I mean, no problem because of YouTube. YouTube is brilliant.
We got a question from Paul, and Paul has a question for you, Sarge, about have you encountered a Karen while flying your drone?
No, I have not. While I'm flying for law enforcement capacity, I have not. Again, we're mandated to have visual observers when I fly, so they kind of do that guarding for me, um, as well as just see and avoid the aircraft and the airspace. They're also tasked with protecting us on the ground as part of our command team. So that kind of key. I have the luxury of having somebody that can play keep away for that stuff. Um,
Yeah. Well, that's that's a big thing, that you have the visual observers, and I can only imagine flying a drone at a crime scene, the confusion that must take place. Is there much confusion or not really?
um, I mean, maybe it's routine now for me. You just kind of throw it up and, you have decide which kind of search pattern you're going to use.
Hmm.
Try and find out as much information as you can. If it's a person like an Alzheimer's um, elderly male that may have walked away from his house, find out the last, where they were last seen. Do they like to walk down certain paths, or they like walking through the woods in this certain area, walking around a pond? Then we'll go search that right away. If not, you start gridding it out, or depending on the layout of the road. So um, the most chaotic might be, if I was going to say chaotic, would be looking for a suspect that just bailed out of a car, or somebody tried to break into a house, and we're trying to look for them.
Mm,
But again, that's just more job induced, in that we're trying to handle working on the radio, communicating certain things, and I'm trying to find out the lay of the land of where the officers on perimeters might be. So, but up in the air, my job's pretty easy. I have fun doing it. I get paid for it.
I was
I
just
know.
looking
I
at
mean,
Mudball's remark there. Also, carrying a sidearm discourages Karen behavior.
Yeah. That might help.
yeah, yeah. There you go. It's true.
Hilarious.
Um, no, no. I give you a lot of credit, Sarge. I think it's a wonderful thing that
Yeah,
you and your unit and the Port St. Lucie Police Department are doing. Um, really, and it's a sign of the times. Drones are going to be here forever. I think
oh, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
I
law
mean,
enforcement.
sometimes we've had people, for if a lot of times when we're training, because we'll train out in our community, either different parks, or we'll go to certain urban areas, or more warehouse district, depending on what we're training my guys on flying, or if we're working with the canine teams. They may come up and ask when we're in our downtime, and we take that opportunity to kind of just tell them, hey, this is what's up, this is what we're doing. Haven't had a real Karen, so to speak, but it's, again, just educating people on what we're doing, and we're not violating their privacy concerns and all that other stuff. There are specific reasons why we're going to fly. We're not just out flying looking for criminals, so we
yeah,
can't do that in Florida. So
Right, right, exactly. You know,
proactively, and we can't be out there looking. So
no, no, I know that. Yeah, all I know is I wish they had drones when I was a police officer.
yeah,
It would have been so cool. It would have been.
oh yeah,
yeah,
And like you say, you get paid for flying drones.
yep.
But you're serving a greater good.
Yeah.
Really, drones do serve a great
yeah,
purpose on the police department.
Other than
And
when we do demos, the most questions I may get are from my fellow officers, because they may get a call for service for somebody flying over their house, and they think, oh, somebody can't fly this drone, so they'll call me up to, hey, what's the relevant laws for this? Which, it's civil matter. There's nothing we can do. The FAA here regulates all airspace from the ground to the edge of space, so we can't control that as a local government. We can't control whether somebody's flying, and a lot of people just don't even. I see that question. I'll answer that in a second. A lot of people don't realize that if you're flying your drone to look at your house, you're not going to look straight down, because I can go to Google Maps to do that. So you're going to fly at an angle. You're going to be over you might be over 2 or 3 houses down just to simply look at your house. So people don't know that the cameras can change their angles and all that other stuff. So once people have a quick explanation of that, usually that satisfies their paranoia or what they may have.
Exactly.
But as far as question here, yeah, all of our pilots are 107 certified. So we're all commercially licensed drone pilots.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, definitely.
We do have a COA that would allow us not to, but our agency, even for insurance purposes as well, we're required to be a 107 as well.
Okay, good. It's amazing because the show is an hour, and the hour just flies by. We could talk for another 2-3 hours. But it's one of those
Definitely.
things where on Monday nights there's a great lineup on YouTube. And for anybody who doesn't know about the Johnny's live stream guide, this is just all the drone shows. And if you want a copy of it, you can get it by emailing me or emailing Johnny Dronefly, who's in the chat, and we'll get you a copy of it. But we got a great lineup on tonight. The World Drone Community, Robbie Gray and Al Duran, they go on right after this show ends at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And then we got the Grumpy Vlogger. He's on at 8. 9 o'clock comes Drone Nation with Ron and Marcus. But I could spend another 20 minutes talking about all the shows. But just check it out, support each other when you get some time. Go on to the live streams, make a comment. And I remember I was so intimidated in the beginning. And when I was first invited onto a live stream, I went in and I got right out. So it was one of
Yeah.
those things where, and now I'm the host of my own little podcast, and I'm also the co-host on the Fly for Fun show, which is on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. on the Johnny Drone Flyer channel. But I want to thank you both for being on the show tonight. You were both very interesting guests, really. And I really mean it. And I'm not just saying it because you're on the show. I can tell by the comments in the chat that people found you both interesting, you know. Um, and we have to say our goodbyes, as much as I don't want the show to end, but we have to say our goodbyes. And Matt, I'll let you say your goodbyes first, or anything you want to promote. Feel free to do it now.
Well, again, if you guys, if there's anybody that had any questions, I can try and answer them from a law enforcement perspective. I know it's a little more unique as far as what we can do, or even, whether you're legal to fly. I can only answer what would be in the United States and privy to what's in Florida. I could generalize what might be elsewhere. So if you have me back on, we can have some conversations about that. But other than that, I'll save my channel for another time, and have a good night.
Well, thank you, Matt, and stay safe out there. That's the most important thing. Stay safe.
Always. Thank you.
And Alan, what would you like to say, or anything you'd like
Yeah.
to promote?
I just want to say thanks for having me on, and sorry for not coming on before, but I was delighted to actually be able to make it once. And yeah, I had a great time. It was great fun. Matt's a great guest.
Yeah, no. I found the show tonight very interesting. Thank you both. Thank you all in the chat for watching. And it's one of those things, like I say, on the Fly for Fun show. Get out there, fly what you have, fly for fun, but most importantly, fly safely. And if you guys want to just hang around, I'll end the broadcast and we'll close out the show in the back room. But I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat, and we'll see you again next week. Have a good night, everybody.